Yo. Wow, small fucking world after all. Now, before I really get into the nitty gritty of things, I want to make this as clear as fucking possible, bitch. All right? Clearer than Windex, bitch. Clearer than transparency, bitch. Clearer than Casper, bitch. Clear. Crystal clear. I don't know this man. I never spoke to this man. I have no affiliations with this man. I ain't never reached out to this man. I've only seen this man's content. Not a friend, not a supporter, ain't subscribed to nobody's Patreon, none of that, okay? It's the internet. You just fall into shit, you fall out of shit. There's several rabbit holes on this thing called social media. Now, with that being said, I think I quote unquote know. And I'm gonna be clear when I say no. No in the sense of I've seen this motherfucker's content. I've seen this motherfucker's YouTube page. I've heard what this motherfucker done said. But not know like we homies. Not know like we friends. Not know like we fam. Not know like we had relations. I don't know like in real life know this person. I just know this person exists. Okay? Now with that out the way, yo, I know this thing. I know this, and again, no quotation, this James guy, this Frank James guy who was the Brooklyn shooter. That guy has or had, I don't know if it's still up, a YouTube channel called Prophet of Doom. And all he did was basically talk about how shitty the United States is, which, you know, he has the right and he's not wrong on that. But he was very Manosphere. Like, this was very early ages in my development, in my discovery of pro-Black rhetoric, in my discovery and my development in Black consciousness and Black content. He's been a YouTuber for over a decade. He's been around the internet critiquing and having his cultural moments of this and the third. He is very jaded. He is very Manosphere. He's very much Black pill. He's very much of that. He cusses and screams and shouts. He's very much of that, right? But I had no idea that these Manospheres is hopping off the internet and hopping and blasting up in real life. Like, what? That's who he is. And you know what really got me is the fact that, you know how on YouTube videos people can change the thumbnail? I watched a video from Status Coop and they discovered and they talked about who this James guy was, right? This Frank James guy. So I go back on the video and he changes the thumbnail and he has a rooster. And I remember the Prophet of Doom guy always had a rooster as his display pic. So I was like, no. So I go back and I search and I see other people say, yeah, it was Prophet of Doom. Like, he was the shooter. And I said, bitch, what? And I'm not laughing. Like, tragedy is tragedy. Violence is violence. Like, it's not cool. But it's like, damn, motherfuckers are really losing their wits' end. And again, I am not co-signing this shit. I'm not for violence. I'm not for none of that. None of that. Okay? Peace to all. Period. But this is just another confirmation of what I said. Shit is really getting hard in these shits. This shit has been hard and is going to continue to get hard until there are real policy changes, until society, especially the NIMBYs, not in my backyard or not in my front yard motherfuckers, the vote blue no matter who motherfuckers, right? The ones who own their property but give everybody else leasing contracts or leasing arrangements that make you feel as if you a sharecropper, make you feel as if you in a binding situation that profits one person and puts you in a situation of perpetual debt and perpetual hustle mode just to make rent, right? Slavery by another name. But nonetheless, a lot of people are literally losing their minds and losing this thing called stability. Now, again, this man, don't know him in real life, have no affiliations with it. I gotta say this shit. I really have to say this shit because A, this is YouTube, this is FedTube. The last thing I need is a motherfucker like, oh, you know, this person's been connected with that person. Like, Never. None of that. But what it is to show is that as much as we talk about the Kyle Rittenhouses and what was that boy, the Elliot Rogers of society that are rejects, that are MGTOW incels, and then they don't get their way and they start shooting shit up, you're going to see the same thing just in other manifestations. What do I mean? The same thing in other manifestations. You're going to see Black men get into that. You're going to see Latino men get into that. You're going to see Asian. Elliot Rodger was half Asian. You're going to see Asians get into that. Because when men feel as if they are insecure, they don't control their life, they're feeling the burn, the pressure, they become violent, right? This is why you see men join gangs, men join packs. Like, once they figure out they're outcasts, they are not going to be the ones on the top of the hierarchy. They have been voted off the island by the Chads and the Brads. They tend to come together and victimize people that they feel as is an easy prey, or people they feel that they can take advantage of. And in this situation, what you're seeing with a lot of these men is that there's common denominators. They're rejects. They often are poor, or their financials aren't together. They are lonely, so they don't have a significant other. They don't have friends. They're caught up in their own delusional confusion mindset. So whatever they think, they believe it. It's an echo chamber. Like, there's no one there to filter out their thoughts. There's no one there that they can bounce off their topics or conversations or points. They're just repeating and regurgitating material that reaffirms their jaded way of thinking. This is the black hole. This is the rabbit hole. This is the sector of the Manosphere. They all say the same shit. They regurgitate the same shit. And you're going to see more of this happening, especially since late stage capitalism. And this is just what happens at the end of empire, honestly. Like, back in the Roman Empire, when that was depleting, basically off the same things too. Overspending of the military, not enough spending on social needs, major corruption. Same thing that happened in millennia past is the same thing that's happening now. War in Iraq, war in Afghanistan, war in Ukraine, just war. And here we are. And when I say we, I mean the United States. Here's the United States. So the same thing happened yesteryear is happening this time, right? And the same thing with violent men. Back in that society, back then, men, especially men who had, the muscle, they had that charismatic energy, they were able to lead other men. A lot of those men were so barbaric. They was out here grabbing other men, but this time by the dick, if you catch my drift. They were out there forcing themselves on other men out in these streets, wild like that. So I'm not surprised that violence is becoming more normalized. I mean, this is the country that has the highest high school shootings. Like, that's a thing. Like, it's such a thing that most high schools have a whole, like, deranged shooter drill. Like, what do you do when a kid comes in and starts blasting? Thank God I've never lived through nothing like that, but that's a thing. Too many guns, too much violence, not enough care and money and support towards the social services that we all need. I just made a video about retirement, how millennials will not be able to retire. Kiss that dream, kiss that nest egg, kiss that golden years goodbye, because you're not going to be able to afford that if we live long enough to even see that. Because according to the IPCC report, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, if we don't drastically change the way that we emit carbon, we're fucked. So fucked that the earth will permanently be on decline, which will permanently affect us humans, us animals who live on this earth, us plants and vegetation, just all of us on this floating rock will be affected. The more the stress, the intensity kicks up, and the less and less people are able to keep up, you're going to see a lot of disobedience, a lot of upheavals, a lot of violence, a lot of people losing their wits end. And you're going to see an increase of the police state, the increase of the surveillance state, and you will also see a lot of people drawing their line in the sand. You're going to see certain things where it might be like vaccine passport. Instead of it's not a vaccine passport, it's like, if you're not from the zone, you can't enter here. If you don't got property here, you can't be here. It's going to be one of those like strictly us versus them type of situation. And depending on your zip code, depending on who you know, is going to be the difference between you eating dirt or you eating somewhat good, somewhat well off, somewhat decent. And you're seeing that. They're not calling it the end of empire. They're not calling it the end of US homogeneity. They're not calling it that, but that's exactly what it is. So I wanted to put it out there. The internet solved the shooter before the police solved who was the shooter. Imagine that. And that was y'all's NYC tax dollars at work. And it was literally a Google search, a YouTube search engine away. So, oh, child, as the tables turn, these are the days of our capitalist life. Ugh. Y'all let me know what you think. Have you ever pondered onto the Manosphere side of things, especially the Prophet of Doom? He has several channels, but that was his common name, Prophet of Doom. And prophet, not like Jesus, but like prophet, like money. Prophet of Doom, spelled differently. And that's crazy. That nigga really lost his mind. And I'm not laughing because it's cute or I think it's funny, as opposed to like, shit, it's really brick out here. It's really tight out here. It's really stressful out here. People are really out here on some brrr. That's crazy. But y'all let me know what you think. And again, this was when I stumbled upon his content. This was like a decade plus earlier. Like I was literally discovering what the fuck is a YouTube, what the fuck is this black identity, this black wokeness, before woke was even woke, but like this black consciousness, kind of like Hotepi, but I wasn't like full blown into Hotep, but I put my toe in it. Like around that area, that arena of my life, I stumbled upon his content. But did y'all ever come across his content? If you did, let me know down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I shall see you on the next video. Peace.